Hi folks, welcome to the Common Engineering channel. My name's Andrew. I am an electrical engineer. I've worked on numerous things. Been doing it about 20 years. I've started this channel as a way to show some of the various projects I work on. I do a lot of stuff around the house. I do a lot of very random projects. Everything from pour welding to circuit board design. I have built a chicken tractor. I'll show in later videos how that was built. But I decided to start with a very simple video. I'm a big proponent of reuse, reduce, and recycle. To that end, I own a Jeep. Somebody offered me a aftermarket rear bumper for my Jeep. Stock Jeeps look a little silly when only one bumper is aftermarket. So I got on Facebook Marketplace and found a forward bumper to match the rear bumper to some extent. With it came a couple of light bar mounts for a JK Jeep. Well, my Jeep is a TJ. Since that doesn't really work, I'll probably end up giving away the light bar mounts to friends that own JKs. But on the light bar mounts, there were a couple of LEDs. I don't know what the brand of this is specifically. I believe, based on its design and how it looks, it's probably a Shockwave LED pod from Harbor Freight. But I decided to use this in conjunction with one of my Dewalt batteries and a battery adapter I got online for about 10 bucks. And a couple of tools here just to make it so that this LED light pod can now illuminate various other projects for me moving forward. So today we're going to go ahead and assemble this. Shouldn't be terribly difficult. We're going to take this little adapter, which is just a screw terminal to barrel connector. This adapter here shows its power outputs. It takes 8 volts to 22 volts from the battery and puts out either 5 volts at 2 amps or 12 volts at 5 amps. Now that's important to pay attention to. This thing has a battery level indicator, 2 USB ports. These are stereotypical 5 volts, so that would be your 5 volt output there. That's rated at 2 amps. This side is a barrel connector. This is going to be your 12 volt power out from the adapter. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these cables from this light pod. We're going to go ahead and put red on positive and screw this down. And we're going to put black. Oh, came undone. So for reference, that's usually a pretty good test to see if you've got a good contact, is to tighten up your lug. And then give it a soft tug to see if it comes undone. If it comes undone, then your connection probably wasn't secure enough. Not a huge thing right this minute, because we're testing this for functionality. I'll put the screwdriver down. I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the battery first. Alright. Now you can see on here we've got a couple of lights. This is giving us an indication of what the battery is good at. And it's saying it's got 2 bars of charge, so somewhere between 100 and 75% full. Or 66. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in, and we have light. So now, to make this kind of usable, we're going to go ahead and mount this on top of this clip so that we can set this into a workspace as such. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pull this off so I don't blind myself in the process of doing all of this, which I've been known to do once or twice. The bolt that was on this thing is a 12mm nut. And it has a standard washer, a lock washer, and a fairly typical bolt. Now, this is something interesting. I was looking for a good wrench to match this size. This wrench is a 9/16, but this is actually not the right wrench for it. See how it gets a little bit of wobble on there? This will suffice because I'm not tightening it very hard. But if I were to put an impact driver or something on a nut like this with that kind of extra wobble or play, I would very likely run the risk of stripping that bolt. So, just to keep in mind for future projects, we're going to go ahead and put this bolt through there. I'm going to move the screwdriver out of the way. I think we're done with that for the moment. We're going to put this bolt through here. Ah, looks like that is too long of a bolt. So, if you'll give me a minute, I am going to go find a similar but shorter bolt. Alright, so I'm back. I found a nut and bolt that are much shorter. They're a different thread type, so I had to find a bolt with a matching nut. These were the wrenches I was going to use with the hardware that came on the light, but since that didn't work, we're going to go ahead and use these. These are the wrenches I need for this. This is a 1/2 inch and a double-ended 1/2 inch. This is a crescent, this is a box wrench, and these are both, I'm sorry, this is a box wrench, this is a ratcheting. These are both box wrenches. So we're going to use these. You can tell that the nut and bolt are not new. There's a little bit of rust on here. I pulled these off of something I was taking apart, honestly, just to kind of figure out how that system worked. But I save all the hardware if I can. Nuts and bolts can be rather expensive over time. So we're going to take this, and I'm actually going to use the lock washer from this set, and we're going to go ahead and move these out. And here, I'm going to take the nut, I'm going to set it in here, or the bolt, set it in here. I'm going to set a spacing washer on here. Now this is just to help allow a little more material meeting this clip and a little rotation. So when this light's on here, I'm spreading the weight of this across more of this clip in a centralized fashion using this type of washer setup. More importantly though, the reason I'm using that is actually to take this into the nut a little further off of this plastic edge. So I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to go ahead and slide it through the opening in the clip. And on that, I'm going to place a standard washer. Washers are there to spread the force of the bolt and nut being closed up across the metal that it's being closed upon. It would help if I were a little more organized. You know what? Why don't we get some pliers? Take some small needle nose pliers and grab the washer. Oop. And I lost it again. Oop. Now I'm going to put the lock washer on. Same method. I lost the lock washer. Now there is an option. I could take the clip off of the plastic piece, and that would probably make this a little bit easier. However, doing that, I run the risk of breaking this thing, and since this is simple plastic, I don't really want to run the risk of breaking it, or I'll have to buy another one. So I'm going to go ahead and put the nut inside of the ratcheting wrench like that, and make sure that it's oriented such that I can tighten it while the nut's in there. So we're going to righty-tighty. I want to see if I can sneak this in here, and I cannot. Well, now we know. So I'll take these pieces apart again, and unfortunately I'm gonna have to go ahead and take this clip out of here. Now this clip, it looks to be held in by a single screw. It does not appear to have a spring aside from the spring tension on the metal there. So we're going to go ahead and grab a screwdriver and see about removing that screw. Now there are a number of different screwdriver sizes. This is a Phillips #1 screwdriver. This does not fit this screw, and it doesn't fit for a few reasons. One, I've just realized that this is actually a Torx screw in there. So we're going to go ahead and grab a Torx driver. So this is a set of Bosch Torx drivers. I'm going to find the one I think will fit that screw. It's going to be a little smaller than that one. And it looks like it may even be a little smaller than that one. Now that was a T15 Torx, so it looks like it might be a T10. This is the T10 Torx bit. Torx bits, I'll include a link to a Wikipedia page. Torx bits have a little star pattern on the tip, and that is in fact a T10. So go ahead, take this. That screw came out. So let's see if we can take this clip off. I'll go ahead and take this off the battery. Let's see. Well, that's unfortunate. We're gonna have to pull both Torx screws out of this. And what I'm doing right now is I'm raking my fingernail on this sticker with just a little bit of pressure, and my goal is to try and figure out if there's a hidden screw inside of there. And it does not appear to be. So this should come apart now. Oh, one more Torx screw. And of course, my driver's not long enough to fit inside of there. I'm going to go find a couple of small, long-ended Torx drivers, and that one appears to be the right size. I'll go ahead and pull that screw out now. This was just supposed to be a very simple project. It always turns into something a little more complex. Alright. Well, since I have this apart, let's take a look. Let's mount the light to the clip first, so we can call that done. And this does make it much, much easier. Oop, I got the order wrong. Washer, then clip, then standard washer, lock washer, and nut. So I'm just going to put it kind of right there for now. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use this up here, and that's holding the bolt. I'm going to use this one on the nut, and just snug that up. If you snug it up too hard, you won't be able to really turn the direction of the light. But you do want it snugged up enough that the lock washer is keeping it from backing off. And that way you can turn the light a few times, a while, before the nut starts to work itself loose again. Now on this side, we have a printed circuit board. We have the LED indicator board. This board really does nothing except illuminate the lights and register the push button here, and sends that electrical signal back to this board. This board is doing all of your control work. All these little ICs, integrated circuits, on this board are what controls the intelligence in this thing. Now, the intelligence in this probably isn't terribly much. It's enough to register what the voltage is on the battery cells inside the battery, and then give you a 3-light indicator of what's there. And the rest of it is enough to separate out a 5-volt output and a 12-volt output. 12-volt output being over here. So all of that seems to be mounted only in this half. This half just kind of clamshells it closed. So we're going to go ahead and put this back together. I'm going to turn this way, make it a little easier. Now you can see the metal clip is sliding in this slot that was designed by another engineer for that. And there is no spring here, so the tension that this clip uses in order to keep, to utilize this clip as a way to hold this battery adapter is entirely in this one piece of bent metal. Go ahead and put this back in and make sure all the slots line up and snaps into place. Looks like we're good. Let's go ahead and start putting screws back. Now, I'm going to rotate this screw counterclockwise until I feel it grab. You might have heard a click just there. And then I'm going to go ahead and tighten it in. So what that does is that helps me keep from cross-threading the screw in the plastic, and that's kind of important because the plastic threads are not very strong compared to the screw. So if you're going to damage anything by tightening a screw into this hole, you're going to damage the plastic. That would make the screw inoperable. Since there's only really 3 screws in this setup, we don't want to make the screw inoperable. Alright, all 3 screws are tightened up. They're really just snug fit. I didn't tighten them up very hard, and the reason for that is exactly what I said. I don't want to strip the plastic threads out. I'm going to go ahead and put this back on the battery and give it a quick test and see. Battery light indicators are showing pretty good. We'll turn this, plug it in, and our light comes on. So, basically, I have $10–15 battery adapter clip that puts out 12 volts. It's going into a barrel jack adapter with a terminal. The 2 wires off the LED light pod are coming straight and going into that screwed terminal, and then that just plugs in. If I want to turn it off, I just unplug it. Now later on we can go ahead and add a switch or something like that. Also, we'll want to, you can see the bare exposed wire here. If you were to get those too close, you might register a little shock of light. We don't want that. So eventually what I'm going to do is take a little bit of heat shrink and put it over these so that those are insulated from each other. And then to clean up the look, I'll probably just put a larger piece of heat shrink over this and shrink it down so that you really don't notice those screw terminals or anything. But as of right now, this project I will go ahead and consider temporarily complete, pending those upgrades, and I'll bring you back in to show those upgrades as we go. Alright, thank you very much. Welcome to the Common Engineering channel. I hope to bring you more videos kind of like this, and I appreciate your time. Bye.